My name is Curtis, and you have entered the Bourbon Barkeep Lounge, so welcome. Today is a Wednesday. I'm not going to timestamp this with a date, but it is a Wednesday, and it is House Call Wednesday. On the Bourbon Barkeep channel, we do a blind battle every Wednesday to where the house tells me what number to pick out of our sample pool. I pour said sample into Glencairns because we're fancy, and we taste them. We just drink them. That's about it. And then we say who won, because why would we do two whiskeys and not have a winner, right? I mean, let's see who's better and why. So we're gonna dive into glass A here. While we wake it up a little bit, go ahead, click the like button, and just right over to the subscribe button, because that's the more meaningful one to me at least. So we got glass A. Let's see what we have on the nose. Lot of brown sugar. I mean dark brown sugar with essential oils of vanilla. A lot of caramel. This is going very dark, very sweet, and I love it so far. Some cherry, kind of tempted to even say like blackberry. Like there seems to be like a nice, maybe like tartness to it that is not citrus related. That is a beautiful nose, just a faint hint of oak and chocolate. A lot going on, so I'm curious to get this on the palate. So, cheers. That's smooth. Oh yeah, that's nice. Very smooth. The cinnamon lets you know that it's there. Ooh, finish is still going. That's nice. Decent Kentucky hug. I wouldn't say it's overly warming, but it at least lets you know it's there. I was gonna comment on how velvety it was in the mouth. I mean, it has a great mouthfeel, but the cinnamon lets you know it's here to play. If I were to poke a hole at least on the first sip, because we're gonna do two, first sip can deceive you. The dark sweetness doesn't completely translate to the palate. It actually goes into more of a like leather, tobacco. The oak is a little more prominent with heavy cinnamon. I feel like would deter people, but the amount of spice is definitely apparent on the tip of the tongue, if you will. Let's see if it's still there on sip two. Sip two, delightful. It's hot. The cinnamon is there. Kentucky hug is there. It's not, I mean, it's not over 120. If it is, then that would be smooth. But yeah, it definitely has some oomph to it. Really nice, like maybe a toasted nut or like a toasted walnut on the finish. The mouthfeel is definitely what this bottle can write home about. Overly coats the entire tongue, and the cinnamon really only sticks on the tip, which is kind of nice because it's not this rush of heat. So it definitely develops from tip to mid to finish. Really impressed with the pour. We'll see what glass B has to say. Speak of the devil. Glass B. Give the same amount of time of swirling, and if you didn't like subscribe on the first time, you're probably not doing it this time, so. A little more earthy here. Heavy leather. Maybe some caramel in there. I mean, it's not just huffing a leather shop. Some cherry, vanilla, but you really have to get around this leather, maybe like a wet moss, which if you like dry red wine, that's not as unappetizing as what it sounds when it comes out of my mouth. Yeah, there's not much else. Maybe peanut shavings. I feel like there's just a hint of peanut, so we're gonna go with the thin shavings. Let's see what the palate has. Well, maybe it's a full flip-flop. When Glass A, you have the sweet into baking spice, cinnamon, oak. Maybe this one goes from tobacco on the nose and leather to sweet. What a ride we're gonna be on. Cheers. It's brighter. I wouldn't say it's the full flip-flop of the earthy to sweet as I was talking about. There's a surprising amount of, what's the blue gum? Winter mint? Is that right? I don't know. The blue one. Like it's like a sweeter mint. Peanuts on the finish. Yeah, that's gonna lead me down at least 2 distillers that this could be, but some salted peanut, ballpark peanut on the finish that is pretty drying. A lot of oak, to where I don't know how high of an age statement this is, but the oak is at least very prominent. I still am surprised by the mint. I wouldn't say it's like Listerine by any means, but you know, you're going in thinking one thing and you come out and you're like, whoa. So let's see if second sip gives us a little bit more, because that was, wow. All right, expecting the mint this time, gave me a little bit more. So now we can peek around the curtain of the curveball that was this mint. I'm making it sound like it's super prominent. I mean, it's like 3rd in the rankings, but when you're not expecting, you're not expecting. Heavy oak. A lot of oak. This seems like a higher aged, to where I would 8+. I don't know. How do you guess ages? I mean, those people that can do that, good for them. Not professionals in the lounge. We're just here to have fun and see if we like things, and then hopefully save you money or make you money. Getting back to the tasting, at least, oak, cherry, maybe a Tootsie Roll in the finish, like kind of that fake chocolate. Unlike Glass A, Glass B gives me a little more spice in the back of the palate, so maybe a little bit more cinnamon. The hug is nowhere near what Glass A was. I think the thing that's gonna work against Glass B on the initial thoughts is going to be, it's a little unmemorable. If you like that drier whiskey tasting profile, to where you go into these leather and tobaccos, heavy oak, you're gonna like this one more than Glass A. The thing that Glass A has going for it is, if you can get around the cinnamon, which is not going to be for everybody, because there is a fair amount of spice on the tip of the tongue, the rest of it is super smooth, a great sweetness, and the hug and mouthfeel is what it's going to be able to write about in reviews, or in my review, because it is very good, and I'm excited to see what it is. Before we get into that and the scoring, I'm going to do a quick side-by-side again, see if the glass is opened up at all, refresh my palate with some water, and see where we land. So stay tuned. Time to score. Give a brief recap. I'm going to say a lot of my palate, because that is what matters in terms of what my score is going to be. But I'm going to try and give information, so the people that don't have my palate, which is everybody, and that like that earthier, if you will, whiskey tasting profile, maybe you're going to choose it. And I hope you do, because it's going to be in your profile. Glass A, if for me, it blows Glass B out of the water. I tend to go sweeter, more of a candy bar whiskey tasting profile. and glass B is not that. Once again, goes back to like a earthy, wet moss, and if I'm drinking a dry red wine with some steak, that sounds delightful. Maybe this pairs well with steak, and it probably does, because it's whiskey. On the palate, very good. There's going to be things in glass A that turn people off in terms of the heat on the tip of the tongue. Velvet-wise, or velvety mouthfeel-wise, it is elite. Very much enjoyed that. Very viscous, and I want more in my belly. Glass B was great on the palate, not overly thin. The proof probably in the 100 to 107 area, if I had to guess. So not a lot of heat, but let you know it's there if I can guess that, even though that means absolutely nothing with my track record of guessing. Finish goes to glass A. It's not close. I don't need a lot of burn to make it a good finish, but I do need to know that it is going into my belly, and glass A does. Glass B, it's just fine. It's average. That's all I can give it, and that's not a bad thing because you're not below average. That's what my teacher would tell me. You're just not below. Scoring time, that's why you're all here, and probably what you fast forwarded to. So glass A was good, glass B was fine. Scoring wise, glass A, we're gonna go, I kept saying great. I gotta go in the great category. It's not fantastic, which should be exclusive. We're gonna go 82. Really, really enjoyed it, and I'm curious what it costs because, hopefully I can have it on my shelf many, many more times. Glass B won't do well for my score, may do well for your score. And it makes it sound like it's gonna do poorly in the score, and sometimes in the pleasurable category, you're pleasurable. I think, like I said earlier, it's just a little unmemorable, especially if you aren't into that profile. So I will go 67. I mean, it should be close to the good stuff. It seems like a quality pour. I don't think I'm gonna mix it with anything because I do want the sweetness to come out in my cocktails. So it's just gonna be, when do I want to taste leather? When do I want to drink leather and not chew on it? So that will be whatever night that is. We'll see when that happens. So now I go into Google Forms. We have kind of a blind key in there. I can click a drop down and reveal the answers, but first I want to know how much these pours actually cost. Hopefully the bang for the buck kind of can steer you towards, yeah, I would pay up, or no, I wouldn't pay for it at all. There's that as well. Let's see, so we got Battle 88. We do not go in order. This is based off of a randomizer. So we have sample 30 is $50 and sample 22 is $50. Well, sorry, sample B, but you don't even have a leg up for that. $50, glass A, I would pay that and more. I would not pay 80. So I'd pay up, maybe 70. Yeah, 70. In this whiskey market, I would probably pay 70. What makes that statement a little difficult is I don't know proof yet, which does matter, and I don't know age, which matters that much more. So bang for the buck wise, going up an extra $20-ish, I'd go 72, whatever that means. That's not the dollar figure, it's just the rating. And I haven't really figured out how that works yet, but it's above 50 and it should be well above 50. So 72 seems right. Now, for glass B, the caveat again is I don't know age, and that will factor in potentially. I am not paying 50. I could see how they could justify it because it does seem, it's not a harsh pour, just not for me. So I'll just do an even 50. So with the way that works, it doesn't really get any credit, but it doesn't lose credit either. It's just a 50 because I don't want it for 50. Not for me. It is what it is. Sorry. So those numbers have been on the screen. Unshockingly, Glacé takes it. We have adjusted said scoring system before because depending on age or, mainly age, you're not going to find some of these whiskeys at $50 if they're 10, 15 years old. So the bang for the buck, they can justify pushing up a little bit more if you want that higher age statement. So for the reveal, we have in the drop down, one of my favorites. It actually came across a little sweeter than what I remember, but Glass A, since I need to announce it, but you know, is the Ben Holladay Missouri Bourbon Bottled and Bond. And depending on, I guess your luck, those are either 6 years or 7 years old. Even though they're bottled and bond, they overachieve, and they overachieve in flavor as well. So, I mean, for 6-7 year bourbon at $50, I wouldn't push up bang for the buck more because it's already pretty high. But I feel a little more justified in saying, yeah, I would pay 65. Did I say 70? Maybe a couple more sips, I would pay 70. So yeah, I would definitely keep bang for the buck where it is and be tempted to push it a little higher as well. And to give credit where credit's due, Glass B, Heaven Hill 7-year bottled and bond. So potentially 2. I think my bottle is 7 years. I don't think it's behind me. No. Just the rick house. Love that rick house, by the way. But I think they're both 7 years in my collection, if you will. And it's just 2 very drastic tasting profiles, which is what you want on whiskey shelves. So as hard and hopefully respectful as I was towards Glass B, which is now Heaven Hill, a very historical distillery, it's just not for me. And that's what this is. But I definitely wanted to know. I mean, you got 2 7 years at the same price. Which one would I pick if I'm staring at both and have $50 in my pocket? It's Glass A for me. Feel good about it. Bourbonbarkeep has been a fan of Holladay and their distillery, so to be able to put them in a blind and enjoy them as much as I did and do, because I got some left. It feels good. So for the Holladay crew, keep doing what you're doing, and for Heaven Hill, you'll be around, and I'm rooting for you, and I'm proud of your history. But the tasting profile, not for me. So on that note, cheers.